My name is Marius Running. I am the production manager for this spring ETO tour. I'm from Norway but live in Walthamstow.
I'm Abigail Kelly. I'm what you would call a lyric coloratura soprano, and I live in Birmingham.
My name is David Hall-Williams. My role is staff director, and I'm from Llangollen in North Wales. What we do as English touring operas is to go to various venues and locations around the UK which might not have ready access to opera. There might be venues where opera isn't seen as the foremost art form of that particular venue, and we take opera there to really try and share it with as many people as possible.
The tour has lots of challenges. A lot of the time we come in at 8 o'clock in the morning and there's a show at 7:30 that day, and there's quite a lot of things to put in place. The schedule is always very tight and we haven't got time to muck about. So I'd make sure in advance that the trucks are all coming, then make sure you've got all the right people called. We're very lucky on this tour to have great technical people on board. We've all got the right attitude, are really up for making it happen. Each venue will have its unique challenge, so that just to make aware about my staff, that they know that in this venue we'll be needing to solve certain problems in a certain way. Yeah, but I'm probably just wondering that it's quite nice where it is.
The tour itself lasts for about 2.5 months. We are going to 18 venues on this tour, so it's a large, extensive tour, in fact one of the largest tours of an opera company in the UK. And in that tour, including all of the 3 main stage productions and the education shows, plus our recital series, there's up to 150 performances taking place.
There are so many tiny things that you have to think about when you're touring, even down to tiny human things like, when do I eat if I have to perform this role? How much do I need to drink, and when do I need to stop drinking so that I don't feel like I need to run off the stage.
The get-in, it's all about putting everything in place. Basically, from when we open the back of the truck and bring all the scenery into the theatre and all the lighting equipment and put it all in and get it all working. Everything has a specific role and has to go in a specific place. And the relationship within the things we bring with us is always the same. So we are completely self-sufficient in that way. We could go into a building that has no resources except for power and a flat surface, and we could put everything in place.
The majority of productions that we present are new productions. We do have revivals, such as this season's Magic Flute, which was originally staged in 2009, but both of the other operas that we have alongside that, King Priam and Paul Bunyan, are new productions. Last year alone, both the spring season and the autumn season saw new productions for every single opera, which was 6 new productions in a single year. So we're very, very committed to giving audiences who come to see our shows year upon year in these different venues around the UK a variety of different productions.
When you're doing a new production and you're making something new, it's all a sort of very ephemeral thing that you've created. There's a lot of wood in a truck, there's lots of cables in a box, and there's singers that know the music, and there are costumes being moved around. But it's all got to come together and come together in the same way. And like the performers have to deliver it with the same energy that they were directed to, the same way all the other production aspects of it have to come together.
I think the touring aspect is key to what we do, because I think behind the idea of touring is the idea that opera is for everyone.
We can bring quite a large scale of high quality work to venues that might not normally have productions like this.
What's really beautiful about English touring opera is that we go to places that may not have such high quality productions coming their way every few weeks. It's a very close-knit family, almost, English touring opera is. I mean, I get on with everybody so well, and everyone gets on with everyone else, really.
There's a really interesting and life-affirming team spirit on tour. We all work really hard to get this tour working and happening, and everyone chips in, and that's the most incredible thing. It's the downstage bunks, and they're asking us to not use the middle and the top of both of those. Each evening's performance takes about 60 people to create, including orchestra and chorus. There's going to be tension, but in those moments we all come together and we all know that we're working towards the same thing, to make sure that we always meet the excellent standards that English touring opera is known for.
I think we all keep each other going on tour, actually, when it gets really hard. We're all in the same boat. Everyone kind of understands what everybody else is going through, so we're all there to support each other. Whether that's just having someone to talk to, or having a shoulder to cry on, or just someone to go out for coffee with, or it's just we all look after each other, and that's so important.
There's always apprehension. You always wonder, what will this next set of challenges that stepping into the unknown bring? And with that comes excitement, comes a sense of doing something extraordinary. When you're bogged down getting next week's schedule out and trying to fit logistics which seem to be incompatible, when you work it all through and you sit and you watch the artistry happening during the performances, all the apprehension, it all melts away.
The hardest work itself is when we do the turnarounds, which is when we have to take one set and change it over to another one in a day and then have a show. That's quite an intense day to do that on the road. And in terms of hard work, it can be that people have to work hard and carry stuff. And the biggest risk is always that the schedule slips, and it's just trying to stay on top of that, making sure that you do things in time and in the right order. And then the challenge, of course, when you have less time, is to not only just make it happen, but make sure it happens and looks good.
Beware of that narrow cross arch. Sight lines are difficult here. We found that last night with Paul Bunyan, so just make sure that you can just alter and tweak a few things to make that all work. Lovely, great. Thanks, everyone. Cheers. I don't know of any job like staff director at English Touring Opera, and in fact, I was told by a few directors when I started working as an assistant, they just said, get on the ETO tour. That'll do you good. You get the logistical side where you're working with scheduling, you're making sure spaces are available, the manpower is there, and then of course you get the artistic side. You get to not only perform in the education shows, there's a chance to flex the directing muscle with the covers, but within that there's always chance to explore character, which is really key to my progression as a director.
The Greeks have laid siege to Troy at this point. And we begin with, we see the battlements.
And then, of course, you're able to meet the audiences as well and learn from them. So it really is unique.
I started singing really when I was about 11. I joined my local church choir. I love singing. I enjoy the challenge of it. I think it's mainly the performance aspect of it, actually being on stage and inhabiting a character, inhabiting a role, and obviously the singing goes along with that.
It's incredible the level of artistry and craft which goes into these productions. The values we achieve right from the conception of the pieces is incredibly high, and the variety we've got with the design and the directorial approach to those is incredible, but that's all underpinned by top singers on the top of their game, and that's where opera exists. It's in the singers that opera happens. This is stories being told on stage through singing.
I've been very lucky with this company. It was the first gig really that I got out of music college, and I've been asked back year in, year out, and doing different things, taking on more responsibility, taking on, bigger roles. So it's been quite nurturing. I didn't go to an opera school. I didn't go and do a master's. So the first few years of doing ETO, it was almost like I was on a kind of course, just, learning on the job really, which is the best way to do it.
There's no point taking an opera on tour if the standard of performers is anything less than the highest professional level. Without a cast who's able to not only cope with the artistic demands of English touring opera, but the logistical ones as well, the entire thing folds. And year after year, we're able to get a batch of singers who are able to rise to the challenge to push us as creative and production teams to matching them.
Ladies and gentlemen, the King Prime Company, this is your Act 1 Beginner's Call. This is your call, please, full company. Act 1 Beginner's Call, full company.
The standard of the singers that I'm performing with is just mind-blowing. Everybody, every single person is a fantastic soloist within their own right. It's always a pleasure and always an honour to work with everyone and hear everyone, actually. It's as much an enjoyment for us on stage being entertained by the other singers that are around you as it is for the audience.
And what gives me a sense of achievement is that you put something up and you step back and you look, wow, that looks fantastic. That's my job, is to make sure that it looks like how the designer wants it to look like. The hard thing on tour is to maintain that quality in terms of things get put in the truck and dragged out. So to make sure you look after it. The production values are very high, and it's very high standard of work be put into making the sets. All the elements have to be of top quality. I think people notice if something's not right. People will notice that if the lighting is not good, and people will notice if the sets look dodgy. Everything has to have the same standard to be able to shine together.
The variety of what we're doing with English touring opera just keeps you on your toes. Magic Flute is, standard rep, everyone knows it. King Priam is just crazy. But again, the singing and the performances are just extraordinary. And then we have Paul Bunyan, which is an operetta, but it's verging on kind of West End, Broadway, lumberjack musical, basically. To be able to take such three contrasting pieces on tour is, really special.
English touring opera doesn't shy from some challenging repertoire. What we want to do as English touring opera, as well as bringing people in, is to give them the opportunity to challenge themselves as an audience.
I really enjoyed the performance this evening. Yeah, I thought it was great. I think it's really great that those three productions, that they contrast so much between the three, and also that there are two British operas represented as well, which I think is really important for English touring opera to do. But yeah, the contrast of styles is really important, I think, to bring all sorts of things to the venues, and not just things like Flute, which obviously will always be popular, but also more sort of left field choices like King Priam and like Paul Bunyan.
I thought it was absolutely spectacular. I thoroughly enjoyed it, every single moment. I was rather tired before I went in, but my goodness, I did not acknowledge the tiredness at all. It was brilliant.
I think one of the good things in the opera tonight was the fact, the way in which people were laughing at things that perhaps the ordinary opera goer takes for granted. And I thought there must be a lot of people in this audience tonight who either they're laughing because it's a natural reaction to do so, or it's perhaps the first time that they've come and they've never seen this opera before. I was listening to a few comments round about me, and people were just enjoying it. So I think there must be a lot of new people in there.
It's brilliant. It sort of reminds me of Gilbert and Sullivan a lot. I like the sort of I haven't really seen many operas. It's one of those things that can sort of be lost in modern times And I think it's brilliant that it's sort of still around and that it's still, you know, such a big aspect of English, you know, theatre. I think it's brilliant. I think it's good. Very good.
Well, I think opera is important. I think it's a lovely medium, and unless you take it round the country, you know, nobody will get to know it. And I was very impressed. Very good production, very good voices. There's a big audience, there were young people there, obviously appreciating it.
I think it's really, really important within British opera that there's a possibility for people who perhaps can't get into London to go and see the big houses and are too far from places like Opera North to see things like this. I mean, opera of this quality and with that quality of singers and players is absolutely fantastic.
I think tonight was a masterpiece. And I think last night was a masterpiece as well. I think they're all masterpieces.
To see people really, really enjoy this work and to find out that opera is not a museum piece. It's not something from the past which we cling to as a way of preserving or keeping something in a stasis form. It's something which is living and alive, and it's an amazing experience.
It's wonderful when you leave the theatre and you've got audience members are kind of milling around and they, you know, go, oh, that was great, that was really wonderful, you know, thank you for that. That's the most beautiful one, when people say, oh, thank you so much. Because, I mean, it's a job and, you know, you get paid to do it, but when you have actually touched somebody in, you know, emotionally, and they come up to you and say thank you sincerely, it's really moving, really touching.
I think with opera, it's the sort of left hook that you can get from the music that you don't expect, of the music amplifying the emotion. And you might not even understand a word they're saying, but you can feel it through the music, and that's, I think, the biggest impact of opera.
Opera isn't one of those things that you just do because you like it and, you know, I'm singing and it's great and it's wonderful and it feels great for me. It's performance. It's to give something to an audience. It's for other people to feel something. It's for other people to, you know, hear a story. It's a sense of escapism. It's all sorts of things and very different things to very different people.
English touring opera is opera for everyone, everywhere. No one reaches as many people as we do around the country as a live performing group. Now, we're able to get out there in places around Britain where opera doesn't reach on a normal basis. And that's something which we take great pride in, which we work incredibly hard to achieve the highest standards we can. And when we leave a venue, we feel that we've been able to hopefully share a bit of our passion and our love for opera with these audiences.